Testing. Okey. Okey, baik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi. Alhamdulillah kita bertemu kembali selepas cuti sekolah yang yang sangat eventful kali ini. Ada kita kena buat larian lah kan. Ada group dia dah start buat video, ada 2 group tak silap saya dia dah submit dia punya video masakan. Saya tengok pun rasa terliur jugalah. Tak terfikir pun resepi yang kamu bagi tu, which is brilliant. Thank you so much for your awesome progress. Alhamdulillah, untuk hari ini kita akan continue discuss about breathing mechanism in animals. Kita dah bincang respiratory structure dalam ikan, belalang, katak dan juga manusia. Hari ini kita nak tengok mekanisme dia lah. So as we wait for others to come, we wait around 3 minutes more. Sementara kita tunggu kawan-kawan kita masuk kan. Lukis dulu, what do you think? Can you draw fish swimming in other mediums beside water? Okay, ramai juga yang lukis. Ramai juga lukis air lain ya. Berenang dalam boba lah, berenang dalam gelas apa tu. Menariknya idea dia. Okay, berenang dalam pinggan mangkuk ya, dah bersedia. Ya saya?
Saya tak nak buka pendek.
Oh, kenapa?
Kan sebab saya guna phone. Ini phone ni kecil, dia cuma boleh untuk tengok je. Nak buka untuk pendek nak lukis susah.
Alright, tak apa. Untuk saya Datul, saya bagi salinan PDF boleh?
Boleh.
Alright, saya bagi salinan PDF. So macam tak apa, tak masuk pendek pun tak apa, tapi you will still get a copy. Okay, dalam bentuk PDF ya. Saya akan private message dalam Telegram ya. Alright, thank you for reaching out. Okay, so sambil-sambil kita tunggu kawan-kawan ni around 2 minutes more, I would like to give you a soft reminder mengenai kamu punya progress. Tak lengkap sepenuhnya pun tak apa. Mungkin ada kumpulan expert siapa dia nak approach pun dia tak ada lagi. So macam tulis status dia kat situ still searching. And then video progress tu pun tengah buat storyboard ke, tengah plan ke, tulislah apa-apa yang progress setakat ini. Tak semestinya mesti dah siap ya, sebab saya nak tahu dulu most likely mungkin in terms of content kamu dah siap, tapi benda-benda macam nak buat video, apakah dia punya siapakah expert yang kamu nak approach, benda-benda tu yang mungkin macam tak settle lagi lah. So tulis je kat situ. Kalau tak settle lagi, tulis apa yang tak settle lagi. Kalau ada challenges, tulis dalam progress report tu apa kamu punya challenges kan. Mungkin kita boleh discuss macam mana saya nak bantu kamu settlekan certain parts of your project dan sebagainya lah. Jangan biarkan dirimu dalam kegelapan, dan kalau macam kamu ada kata group members yang tak bagi kerjasama ke, atau group members yang dia nak bagi kerjasama tapi dia ada limitations dari segi device ke dan sebagainya, mari kita bincang. Mungkin kita boleh bincang dari segi ahli tu boleh menyumbang kod mana cara lain pula, macam mana kita nak bantu kan supaya kita sama-sama boleh siap lah. Okay, so there are so many brilliant drawings here, banyak idea ya, berenang di angkasa, berenang dalam boba, berenang on top of mountains dan sebagainya lah. Okay. So semasa kita buat kelas last time, bila kita cakap pasal breathing structure dalam different organisms kan, ada 2 soalan atau ada 2 benda yang ditulis dekat what was hard. Nombor 1 ialah ada yang masih lagi keliru mengenai respiratory structures in fishes, and also ada satu lagi soalan, dia tak faham perkaitan antara kulit katak yang di apa yang ada surface dia tu semua covered with oil, macam mana dia memberi kesan kepada respiration process pada frog. Okey, dua soalan itulah berdasarkan kamu punya reflection last week. So thank you so much for all of your wonderful drawings. These are the kinds of exercise that we can do. Kalau kamu rasa penat belajar ke, stuck ke apa ke, buat doodles, draw squiggles ke apa-apa yang does not make sense pun tak apa, kan? Help to increase your brain activity. Tak kisahlah on the left brain atau the right brain, kan? Kita nak engage. Siap tambah sayap lagi. Dahsyat dia punya ni. Alright, so sorry saya terpaksa memotong sesi kreatif kamu. Thank you so much. Okay, I have to go to the next slide ya. Alright, sorry ya. Sorry ya Ammar dengan Alina, saya move on ya. Okay, so anak-anak, let's start with the basics first. Can you identify dekat mana operculum atau nama lain dia sebagai gill cover, and dekat mana gill arch and gill filament? You can you can choose to either label the left picture or the right picture. Dua-dua pun okey, dua-dua pun sama, tak ada masalah ya. Cumanya saya pilih gambar sebelah kiri tu sebab ada structure yang nampak lagi jelas lah. Gambar sebelah kanan tu ada structure lain yang nampak lagi jelas. Alright, very good. Let's see here. Oh, kita dah ada 33 orang ya. Ada 33 orang, kecuali Saidatul tadi dia tak boleh nak masuk pedek. Sekejap ya. Selain daripada Saidatul, ada lagi yang tak boleh masuk pedek ke supaya saya boleh bagi PDF copy of today's class? Okay, Saidatul Ahmad ya. Sekejap, saya hantar PDF. Alright. Okay anak-anak, let's see some of the sample answers here. Yes, ramai sekali pilih untuk label operculum on the left side of the screen ya. Sekejap ya. Ramai yang pilih untuk ramai yang pilih untuk label operculum on the left side of the screen. Sekejap ya. Let's see here. One sample answer. Okay, this one is from Alina. Okay, alright. Okay, ada dua sample answer kat sini. Satu daripada Alina, satu daripada Ammar. Okay, so position yang, sekejap ya. Boleh jadi confusing pula kat sini. Sebab semua tengah ni kan, semua tengah isi ya. Sekejap ya. Alright, I give you another 30 seconds sebab ada orang tengah isi lagi. I give you another 30 seconds to label. You can choose to label on the left side or the right side ya. Doesn't matter. Alright, so saya lock screen dulu sebab nanti dia blinking. Okay, so this is very good. This is a sample from Alina Farisa. Okay, operculum on the left side, yang warna hijau tu, gill arch, position dia betul, jangan gerakkan dah, betul dah tu. Gill arch itu yang kawasan itu. And then gill filaments pun betul, yang macam berus-berus yang warna merah tu. Very good. Okay, kita dah kenal gill filaments position dia kat mana. Sekarang ni kita tahu bahawa operculum tu is the bony structure of the fish that function as to cover and protect the filaments. Gill arch is also function as to is not directly for gaseous exchange, but gill arch function as to support the structure of filament. The structure that actually conduct gaseous exchange are the filaments. Kita tengok pada slide seterusnya, what can we see inside the filament. For this particular slide, tak ada soalan saya nak tanya, cuma kalau kamu nak buat drawing ke apa ke, silakan, nak buat nota ke apa, silakan. So, as you can see here, the red structure that you have just labeled before this are the filaments, and inside the filaments are very fine structures called lamella. Satu lamella, kalau plural lamellae, saya sebut lamellae sebab at the end tu ada E. So, the lamellae are small bumps that can be found on the surface of gill filaments. So these bumps are red in color because they are covered with a network of blood capillary structures. Sebab itulah warna dia merah. Okay, so ini untuk saya repeat part ni sebab ada yang bertanya pasal fish respiratory structure. Dari luar kita nampak gill cover when we or the operculum. When we open the operculum, we can see the gills are supported by the bony structure tu, nama dia gill arch, and then the fine brushes are called filament. Inside the filament we can see tiny bumps which are called lamella. Itu saja. Okey, untuk part yang seterusnya, ada yang bertanya dia tak faham soalan. Ada satu soalan ni ialah mengenai kata yang dijumpai at an ecosystem where there is an oil spill. So because of the oil spill, the surface of the frog's skin is covered with oil. So we know that we learned already during Form 3 Science that the frog uses skin for gaseous exchange. So untuk konteks soalan ni, kalau oil cover the skin, what will happen to the respiration process for the frog? So the first one is when the oil covers the skin can no longer have the moisture to allow gases to dissolve through the skin. Therefore, this will reduce the rate of gaseous absorption, especially for oxygen, through the skin. Subsequently, this will reduce the rate of respiration for frog. So soalan tu markah dia lebih kurang 3 macam tu. So we have 4 to 5 points here. So any 3 daripada 4 to 5 points here is suitable for explaining the effect of oil spill on the respiration rate for frogs. Okay, mari kita tengok pula mechanisms of breathing. For the first one is insect breathing mechanism. We have a video here. So I will show you the video. On the video, please take a look. Please observe the role of spiracle, trachea and tracheoles, and observe how the gases flow in and out of insect's body. Okay, saya mute dulu, baru saya play ya, sekejap.
They do not have single respiratory organ. Instead, the respiratory system of insects like cockroach consists of small, branched cuticle-lined air ducts called tracheae. These tracheae form the tracheal system in the body that carries oxygen from air to all the parts of an insect's body and allows the diffusion of gases into the tissues. The air enters the trachea by specialized opening present in the exoskeleton. These openings are called spiracles. These spiracles can be opened or closed by valves. Spiracles and tracheae constitute the respiratory system of cockroaches. During the process of respiration, the oxygen-rich air rushes into the tracheal tubes through the spiracles. These tracheae are further branched into small tracheoles. The tracheoles are the series of tubes that transport gases throughout the body. Oxygen diffuses into the body tissues from the tracheoles and finally gets absorbed by all the cells of the body. And in return, carbon dioxide that is produced as a byproduct from the cells is released by the cells of the body. The carbon dioxide from the tissues diffuses into the tracheal tubes and finally goes out through the spiracles. Thus, invertebrates like annelids and arthropods display a wide variety of respiratory organs, including the epithelium and tracheae.
Okay, so as we can see here, for insect respiratory system, kita tak cakap pun pasal gases move atau diffuse into the red blood cells combine with hemoglobin or dissociate with hemoglobin and so on and so forth. Kita tak cerita because as we can see here, the gases move from spiracle to trachea and subsequently to the tracheoles directly to the cells atau body tissues. Tak perlu ada specific transport system to transport gases. Let us try filling up the slide number 7 based on what we have observed just now. Okay, cuba lengkapkan slide nombor 7 ini berdasarkan apa yang kita dah observe tadilah and also by referring to your textbook. Okay, semasa inhalation, what happens to the abdominal muscle? Does it contract atau relax? And what is the subsequent effects in terms of air pressure? Air pressure increase ke decrease? And finally, air will move in ke out of the trachea? Okay, in your paddock, this particular animated GIF does not move. Tapi in the Google Meet, the GIF is moving, it's functional lah. So kalau nak tengok rupa paras gambar ni bila dia bergerak, boleh refer kepada Google Meet ya. Okay, now I am looking at your answers. Whenever we talk about muscle, kita cakap muscle tu tengah contract atau relax. Air pressure pula, kesan daripada muscle tu contract atau relax, air pressure akan increase ke atau decrease kan? Okay, Amirul, Amirul, what do you think? Amirul rasa macam mana? Macam mana dia akan start? Fatimah, Nuri Atira, Putri Azlina, Amna Najiha, what do you think? Apakah verb yang verb atau adjective yang sesuai untuk kita letak dekat sini? Contract ke, relax ke, increase ke, decrease ke, move in ke, move out ke, exit ke dan sebagainya lah. Okay, I give you another 3 minutes ya. Okay, Amirul, are you okay? Saya baru nak check berapa orang dalam kelas ni ada 34 people. 3 people is not inside the paddock. Saya Datul tadi dia dah bagi tahu. Ada 3 orang tak masuk paddock lagi. Do you have any problems? If you have, I can give you a PDF copy for you to refer to. Tak adalah loss pula kan nanti. Okay, untuk mereka yang dah siap, I will change this to student pace. Untuk mereka yang dah siap, boleh move on to slide number 9. Boleh pergi ke slide nombor 9 untuk buat slide nombor 9. Kotlah ada idea kan. Nak refer textbook tu sekejap saja. Okay, siapa yang dah siap slide nombor 7, pergi ke slide nombor 9. You have around 1 minute. Okey, saya bawa kembali semua orang ke slide nombor 7. Okey, saya bawa kembali semua orang ke slide nombor 7. Okay, here is a sample answer from Dahia. Okay, so thank you Dahia for your submission. During inhalation, the abdominal muscle relax. Bila abdominal muscle relax, volume of the abdomen increases. Volume increases, air pressure decreases, atau macam Dahia tulis kat sini, air pressure reduce. Disebabkan itu, pressure outside the body of insect is higher than pressure inside the body of insect. Therefore, air enters into the trachea through spiracle. Thank you, Dahia. And then the next one, abdominal muscle contract, air pressure increases. Therefore, this will force air to exit the trachea through spiracle, kan? Air will exit the trachea through spiracle. Forces out pun boleh. Saya faham maksud Dahia tu. Maksud dia sama. Sama juga dengan another sample answer from Ammar here. Thank you so much, Ammar. Okay. Dua-dua sampel answer ni saya akan screenshot, lepas tu saya share dekat Telegram ya. Nanti boleh refer. Okay, let's take a look at fish breathing mechanism. Tadi saya lihat ada dalam 13 orang macam tu dah cuba jawab slide 9. Kita tengok video dia dulu for fish breathing mechanism. Take a look at opening and closing of mouth and operculum. Observe the flow of water and finally observe the exchange of gases at the lamella. Saya mute diri saya dulu, nanti saya baru saya play ya.
Fish are aquatic animals. Water contains oxygen dissolved in it. Depending on temperature and other factors, the level of dissolved oxygen in water is about 4 to 15 milligrams per liter. Fish extract this dissolved oxygen from the surrounding water by a process called aquatic respiration. Fish have specialized structures called gills to carry out exchange of gases with water. The gills are located on either side of the head of fish, behind the mouth cavity. In bony fish, the gills are covered by a hard, bony flap called the operculum. It is also known as gill cover. In cartilaginous fish, the operculum is lacking and the individual openings to gills are called gill slits. During the process of exchange of gases, a fish first gulps water through its mouth. At the time of the intake of water, the mouth opens while the operculum remains closed. The fish then closes its mouth and opens the operculum to force the water out through the gills. The color of the gills is dark red or brown red because of the presence of a large number of blood capillaries in it. These capillaries come in close contact with the current of water crossing the gills. Blood absorbs the dissolved oxygen from the water by diffusion. The unique structure of the gills ensures that they absorb most of the oxygen dissolved in the water that is passing between them. Simultaneously, carbon dioxide from the blood diffuses out of the gill capillaries into the water. The water containing carbon dioxide is expelled through the open operculum. Besides being the respiratory organs, the gills also play an important role in maintaining the balance of salts in fish.
Okay, so as we can see here, the opening and closing of mouth and operculum does not occur simultaneously. Bila satu open, satu close. Bila mouth open, operculum close. Bila mouth close, operculum opens. So let's take a look at slide number 9. Okay, can you apply what you have learned before by filling up all the blank spaces here? Macam mana kita nak apply breathing mechanism yang kita tengok tadi with dalam konteks mechanism tadi? So cuma kita punya explanation lebih kompleks lah sebab kita cakap pasal buccal cavity, kita cakap pasal opercular cavity, kita cakap pasal opercular valve. Okay, mari kita buat. Okay, saya nampak dekat sini Amar dah siap, Syahira pun dah siap, Kasrina almost there, dan Nurin Adani pun almost there. Okay, Wan Nurin Christina pun almost there. Okay, the rest is almost there. Very good. Okay, bagaimana pula dengan Ashraf, Syakira Alia, Amirul Hakimi? What are your ideas? Cuba dulu isi. Okay, bila kita cakap pasal mulut tadi sama ada open atau close. And then opercular cavity pun sama ada dia open atau close. Okay, opercular cavity pula, opercular valve, sorry ya. And then barulah kita sebut kesan dia kepada pressure. Pressure increase atau decrease. Okay. I give you another 3 minutes to update. Untuk mereka yang dah siap, boleh move to slide number 10. Siapa yang dah siap boleh pergi ke slide number 10. So jangan risau pasal timer tu ya. Timer tu lebih kepada untuk diri saya, untuk remind saya untuk move to the next slide, dan seterusnya lah. Siapa yang dah siap slide 10 boleh terus pergi ke slide 13. Dekat slide 13 baru ada task. Okay, siapa yang dah siap slide 10 boleh pergi ke slide 13. Oh, pantasnya. Okay, teruskan. Okay, you have another 1 minute. Okay, siapa yang dah siap boleh pergi ke slide 13 ya. Minta maaf hari ini saya punya surrounding agak meriah sebab saya bersiaran dari ruang tamu. Okay, rumah kecil je kan, bunyi semua orang pun dengar kan. Gitulah. Okay. Around 50 seconds. Siapa yang dah slide 13 boleh pergi ke slide 14, slide 15, slide 16. Silakan. No worries. Okay. Okay. Okay, around 10 seconds semua. Oh, dah siap dah semua. Okay, saya kembalikan semua orang ke slide 9 ya. Okay, so here is a sample answer. Okay, saya unlock screen. Here is a sample answer. Saya lampirkan di sini. Okay, tak apa. Terjatuh sikit dia punya statement open tu ya, tapi saya faham. The mouth opens and the floor of buccal cavity is lowered. Floor of buccal cavity ni ialah satu muscle yang berada betul-betul selepas mulut ikan ya. So the floor of buccal cavity lowers, causing the opercular cavity to become bigger ke atau enlarge ke. Okay, dua-dua pun boleh ya. So bila opercular cavity ni bigger, volume dalam opercular cavity ni increases kan, dia punya isi padu bertambah. So bila isi padu dia bertambah, the pressure in the buccal cavity decreases. During this time, opercular valve, satu injap that separates the opercular cavity and the gills, satu injap, it is a valve that separates the opercular cavity towards the gills, betul, towards the gills area is closed. So masa ni air hanya akan tersimpan dalam opercular cavity. Water will be kept inside the opercular cavity. Nanti kita akan tengok dalam mechanism exhalation, the changes in floor of buccal cavity causes the water to move backwards towards the gill area. Mari kita tengok. Okay, this is a sample answer for Amirul Hakimi ya. Terima kasih Amirul. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Okay jawapan. Okay ini adalah sampel daripada Ammar. Okay, Ammar, cadangan Ammar ialah during exhalation, the mouth closed and the floor of buccal cavity raised. So this will push water inside the opercular cavity through the gill lamella, pergi ke kawasan insang dekat belakang, dekat bahagian pipi ikan tu kan. Because of this, water flows in between lamella and enable gaseous exchange between blood and water. After that, opercular muscle relaxes, causing the opercular cavity to become smaller and the volume of buccal cavity is reduced. Sebab tadi floor of buccal cavity dah terangkat kan? So air akan move atau flow through the opercular valve because the pressure inside the buccal cavity is now higher compared to the outside. Jadi air tu push through the gills out of the opercular valve into the surrounding area. Okey, itu mengenai ikan. Now, let's take a look at frogs breathing mechanism. Ada satu video kat sini saya nak tunjuk. Saya mute dulu saya punya mikrofon baru saya tunjuk sekejap .
While on land, or when it is floating on the surface of the water. It takes in air through the nostrils into the mouth by lowering the floor of the mouth or the buccal cavity, keeping the mouth closed. Next, the nostrils are closed and the passage between the mouth cavity and lungs is opened. The floor of the buccal cavity is raised and air is forced into the lungs. Exchange of gases takes place in the lungs as well as the lining of the buccal cavity. Oxygen diffuses in and carbon dioxide diffuses out. Amphibian lungs are a bit different from our lungs. Our lungs are spongy and full of tiny little sacs called alveoli. These alveoli increase the amount of surface that oxygen can enter our bodies through. Since amphibians don't need as much oxygen as humans, they don't have as many alveoli either. The way amphibians use their lungs is different from humans too. Humans have a diaphragm beneath their lungs that causes the air to rush in and out. Amphibians don't have diaphragms, and they have to force air into their lungs by moving their mouth like we do when we are swallowing.
Okay, that is the mechanism for gases exchange in frog when they use lungs. Okay, mari kita tengok notes, the related notes. So, untuk frog, you can draw anywhere on this particular slide. Tak ada nak kena fill in the blanks ke apa ya. So untuk breathing mechanism of frog, kita boleh nampak the floor atau the area underneath the mouth becomes bigger and smaller kan, naik turun. So nama ruang di bawah mulut frog tu ialah buccopharyngeal cavity. So when the frog breathes through nostril, okay, nostril buka, the nostril opens, the mouth close. So, and at the same time, the floor of buccopharyngeal cavity is lowered. Bila the floor of buccopharyngeal cavity is lowered, the volume of the cavity increases. Kita dah belajar dalam fizik, kalau volume increase, pressure decrease. Therefore, air from the surrounding enters the nostril and fill up the buccopharyngeal cavity. Sebab itulah kita nampak semakin lama semakin kembung bahagian cavity di bawah mulut katak tu kan. Okay, and then after that the nostril closes, the mouth still closed, and the glottis at the back of the buccopharyngeal cavity tu will start to open. So bila glottis buka, nostril tutup, the floor of buccopharyngeal cavity raise upwards. Bila the floor of buccopharyngeal cavity raise upwards, the volume of the cavity decreases, the pressure increases. So the air will be pushed to the back, towards the lungs. So sebab tu kena tutup nostril. Kalau tak nanti udara tu keluar pula ikut nostril. So bila nostril ditutup, it will ensure that the flow of air is one way from the bucopharyngeal cavity to the glottis to the lungs. Inside the lungs, gaseous exchange occurs, and when exhalation will start when the lungs contract. Dia katak punya lungs special, dia boleh contract and relax on its own without the help of rib cage atau diaphragm. Macam kita punya macam kompleks sikit kan, kena ada intercostal muscle lah, diaphragm lah, macam-macam lah kan. So for the frogs are very simple. The lung itself can contract. So when the lung contract, volume of lung decreases, pressure increases. Okay, the pressure inside the lung increases. Therefore, the air inside the lung will be pushed out of the lungs straight keluar ikut nostril balik. Kenapa? Sebab nostril masa tu dah open. So the some of the air is expelled through the nostril while the rest is mixed with the air in the bucopharyngeal cavity. Sebab apa? Sebab bucopharyngeal cavity tu ada dia punya volume kan. So not all air exhale through the nostril. So walaupun amphibians have the ability to live on the land and in water, in aquatic environment, amphibians ni dia tidaklah betul-betul optimize untuk hidup dalam air, tidaklah betul-betul optimize untuk hidup di darat. Dia tengah-tengah kan. Okay, dia hanya boleh buat basic function in terms of respiration lah. Okay, I can see your notes here. Very good. Thank you so much. Okay anak-anak. Last, mari kita tengok breathing mechanism of humans pula ya. The last organism for today. Okay, in terms of breathing mechanism lah. Mari kita tengok. Okay. So I can see here, there are many of you have started to answer. I give you another 3 minutes to fill up this part. 3 minit je, sekejap je sebab pernah buat kan masa lower form dulu, masa form 3. Okay, Amirul. Okay, Syakira Alia tadi dia nak pergi tandas. Amirul, are you okay? Okay ya. Boleh kalau apa internet problem ke apa bagi tahu tau. Okay ya. Jangan risau pasal timer ni, dia lebih kepada untuk remind saya untuk jaga pacing of the class. Supaya tak adalah terlalu lama pada satu-satu slide ya. So dalam Google Meet sekarang saya ada tunjukkan satu sampel jawapan. Mari kita semak sama-sama jawapan ini. Okay. So sama macam, saya unlock screen ya. Okay, sama macam bila kita cerita pasal other organisms just now, we still talk about how different structures in an organism causes difference atau changes in the volume of respiratory structure and subsequently changes the pressure of the respiratory structure. For example, dalam breathing mechanism of humans, we uses the function of intercostal muscle and diaphragm to manipulate the volume of thoracic cavity. Bila kita cakap pasal mekanisme pernafasan dalam manusia, kita akan bercakap mengenai peranan otot interkosta untuk menaikkan dan menurunkan rib cage dan juga peranan diaphragm to to become curve ke atau flatten ke, sebab dua-dua tindak balas ini causes the isi padu isi padu dalam rongga thorax ni naik atau turun dan subsequently pressure dia akan naik atau turun. For example, okay, during inhalation, external intercostal muscle contract while the internal intercostal muscle relax, so it will pull the rib cage upwards, bukan saja ke atas tapi keluar, upwards and outwards. At the same time, diaphragm muscle contract causing it to become flat. So the combination of these two, rib cage naik atas, diaphragm flat ke bawah, this will increase the volume of thorax cavity atau ada setengah reference disebut thoracic cavity, and then the pressure inside the cavity decreases. Therefore, air from the outside atau from the surrounding will enters the lungs. Okay, macam mana pula dengan exhalation? Mestilah kita kena kurangkan volume dalam thorax cavity. How do we achieve this? External intercostal muscle relax. Sekarang internal intercostal muscle pula contract. So when the internal intercostal muscle contract, it will pull downwards and inwards the rib cage. At the same time, diaphragm muscle relax, forming a dome shape inside the thoracic cavity. Bila otot diaphragm relax, mengendur, diaphragm bentuk dia macam kubah. So the combination of these two causing the thorax cavity volume decreases. The pressure inside the thorax cavity increases. So the air will be pushed out of the lungs into the nostril. Okay. So ini adalah sampel jawapan daripada Amna Najiha. Thank you so much for your submissions. I will share it in the class Telegram. Okay, mari kita tengok ada beberapa sampel soalan kat sini. Ada beberapa sampel soalan kat sini. Okay, mari kita tengok dekat sini yang ni ya. Satu. Okay, this is an example of SPM format questions related to breathing mechanism. Okay, can you explain how the body cells receive oxygen from the air? Mungkin kena mulakan dengan the contraction of muscle ke, kena cerita pasal changes in volume ke. dan sebagainya lah. Okey. Silakan. Okey, bila kita nak cerita pasal breathing mechanism ni, kita identify dulu kita nak increase atau decrease which volume. Volume macam mana? Which volume pula? Macam ni kita nak increase atau decrease volume of respiratory structure. Apakah masa yang terlibat dan sebagainya lah. Okay. Okay. Based on what I'm seeing here, bagus, Alhamdulillah. Most of you are on the right track, bagus. Kita cerita dulu abdominal muscle, masa tu tengah contract ke tengah relax? Tengah relax lah kan, sebab kita nak volume dia increase kan. So point number 1, abdominal muscle relax. Juga diterima if you say body muscles of the otot-otot badan pun boleh ya, in case lah kalau tak ingat nama abdominal muscle tu kan. So point number 1, abdominal muscle relax. Point number 2, volume inside the trachea decreases. Point number 3, air pressure dia apa? Air pressure dia volume increases, pressure decreases. Point number 4, oxygen will enter the tracheal through spiracle kan. Oxygen will enter the tracheal through spiracle. Okay. Sekejap ya. Itu dah sampai point 4. Okay, katalah kamu nak cerita lagi macam nak cerita sampai ke tahap body cells dapat macam mana kan. Now oxygen has enters the tracheal. Okay, lepas tu oxygen will dissolve into the moisture at the end of tracheal. Ini kalau nak cerita ya, ada banyak lagi point. Point dia ada dalam 7 atau 8. Okay, point dia ada 7 atau 8, mana-mana 4 daripada 8 point yang saya sebut ni ya. So, saya ulang sekali lagi. Point 1, abdominal muscle relax. Point 2, volume of tracheal atau volume of trachea increases. Pressure inside the trachea atau tracheal decreases. Point number 4, oxygen enters the trachea through spiracle. Point number 5, oxygen dissolve into the moisture at the end of tracheal. Point number 6, oxygen diffuse to the body cells atau to the body tissues. Kan, sebab soalan dia ialah macam mana oksigen sampai ke body tissues kan. Okay, so terima kasih Fahana. Basically dia bagi key points. Okay, apa yang Fahana tulis ni adalah key events at each stage. Tapi of course lah nanti bila periksa, jawablah dalam ayat yang penuh ya. So ini adalah key point saja yang Fahana tulis ni. Nanti tulislah ayat penuh macam Nik Natasha tulis ni ke, atau macam Alina tulis ni ke, itu adalah ayat-ayat penuh lah. Okay. Dan bila kamu tulis ayat penuh, bila kamu tulis ayat penuh, sekejap ya. Bila kamu tulis ayat penuh, some of the key points can be combined. Macam make sense untuk combine. For example, macam Nik Natasha tulis, abdominal, Nik Natasha tulis volume inside the trachea increases, pressure inside the trachea decreases. Itu boleh combine, make sense untuk combine. Okay. Mari kita tengok. Okay, I give you another 1 minute to update this particular slide. Saya bagi key points dalam Google Meet. It is up to you to write in your own words. Okay, write dalam ayat tersendiri macam mana nak cerita key points ini ya. Okay, another 20 seconds. Okay, for the next part nanti untuk gases exchange, I will explain to you the first few slides, maybe on slide 18 and slide 19 saja. The rest slide 20 and slide 25, sebab kita sepatutnya 1 hour ialah Google Meet session. Oh sorry, 1 hour Google Meet session, 30 minit lagi ialah tutorial session. So for the next part ni akan jadi tutorial sessionnya. So saya pergi ke slide seterusnya. Okay, so when we talk about gases exchange in humans, we always refer to the partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So dalam udara kita, the air that surrounds us consists of different components of different gases, kan? Ada gas oxygen, nitrogen, argon, water vapor and carbon dioxide. So each of these gases has its own pressure, and the combination of these gases pressure will form the air pressure surrounding us right now. So bila kita nak cakap pasal exchange of gases, we always refer to kita tak cakap down concentration gradient lah, kita cakap down partial pressure gradient ya. So nanti kita akan tengok mekanisme dia. So gas diffusion depends on partial pressure difference between two areas. So oxygen diffuse from area with high partial pressure to the area with low partial pressure. Okay, and then dalam erti kata lain, down partial pressure gradient lah. So let's take a look at this one. In order to assess your understanding about partial pressure, let us compare the partial pressure between the blood that enters the lung through pulmonary artery. Dia punya partial pressure of oxygen macam mana? Tinggi ke rendah? Blood that leaves the lung through the pulmonary vein, partial pressure dia macam mana? Tinggi ke rendah? Cuba lengkapkan dulu. Okey, untuk part ni sekejap saja kan. So tak apalah kalau tak tunggu sampai cukup 3 minit pun. I can see that most of you have completed already, sebab simple je kan, nak tulis low dengan high saja kan. So I agree with you. This is a sample answer from Zafira. Zafira kata pulmonary artery, partial blood that enters the lungs through pulmonary artery have low partial pressure of oxygen, but high partial pressure of carbon dioxide. And then finally, for blood that leaves the lung through the pulmonary veins, it has a high partial pressure of oxygen but low partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Alhamdulillah anak-anak. Basically today we have discussed about gaseous exchange in insect, in frogs, in fish and also in humans. For the tutorial part, please complete slide 20 to 25 regarding gaseous exchange in humans. So sebelum kita bersurat, I would like to get your reflection on today's activity. What did you like about today's activity? What didn't you like? For example, sebelum ni ada yang kata dia tak suka kali ni punya session sebab saya terlalu laju hari tu. So saya cuba improve dan saya cuba slow down sikit lah hari ni. Itu yang pertama. Kalau masih lagi laju, bagi tahu ya. And then what do you think is hard for today? Ada part yang nak minta saya re-explain tak? Tulis dekat what was hard ya. Selepas ini, saya akan tukarkan slide yang sama kepada student pace. You can access the slides after this ya. Alright, setakat saya tengok untuk what was hard tak ada untuk saya address immediately today. Kejap, cuma ada satu yang kat sini yang panjang ni. Not knowing how to answer the question. Alright. So itu adalah teknik menjawab lah. Kita kena sama-sama adjust dan latih lah lepas ni. So I'm changing the slide right now to student pace. I will end the class now so that you can have the time and the space to work on the other slides. So I would like to thank you all for coming today. All 35 awesome people. 36. Ada seorang terkeluar tadi. Internet dia tak stabil. Thank you so much. May Allah bless you. Have a nice day. Assalamualaikum.